Welcome back to the McCowan Podcast. Darren in for Bob again today. And this is a special one for me. I'm 68 years old, Darren. I had never seen a Canadian win the Canadian Open until I saw Nick Taylor win the RBC Canadian Open on June 11th, 2023. And I got to tell you, it was an emotional moment. I remember where I was in 72. I also remember where I was when Nick hit the 72-foot putt. I assume you remember where you were too, Nick, right?
I do. I look back on that day very often.
So let me ask you this: will June 11th always be a special day for you now? Will it be up there with birthdays?
I think so. I don't know if the exact date. I think just that moment in time. I probably forget the date occasionally, but the moment when the puck goes in, winning that golf tournament, that's something I won't forget for a long time.
I'm sure you've been asked all kinds of questions, and a lot of them over and over. But when did you think the putt had a chance?
I think when it kind of crept over that ridge and started breaking to the right, it was one of those where at that point I probably could say like the speed looked pretty good. Again, like until that putt disappeared, I don't think I had any idea how good it looked or how good it was. But yeah, I think probably just over halfway there, I'm like, all right, this speed looks pretty good. But again, for how far I was, you're hoping it just creeps up real close and I can walk up there and tap it in, put the pressure back on Tommy. But for that to disappear, I think there was that there was half second of shock that just happened. And then everything else just kind of forget about what happened after that. But pretty fun.
Well, I'm sorry for the cliche question, but how has your life changed?
Yeah, I don't know if my everyday life has necessarily changed at home. Definitely seeing the same people, still busy at the house with my family, but probably recognize definitely a little bit more than I probably expected, to be honest. I think, right after the tournament, went to the US Open, which was obviously a huge event. And even after winning that, it was great talking to players, and they were so nice how many players came up to us and congratulated us. But fans wise, it wasn't a whole lot different. And then went overseas and just was kind of in the busy playing mode. But since then, occasionally around Abbotsford golf courses, it's definitely more than maybe I probably expected. So it's been really nice. People coming up.
I want to talk to you about Ledgeview because it's a fascinating story when you think about it. But okay, your life hasn't changed that much. How has your golf game changed?
Probably people probably think I'm a lot better than I actually am, but no, it was a great season. That was definitely the cherry on top of it, and it's nice to have some off time here. Maybe work on a few things that are hard to work on necessarily on the road. But I have a couple tournaments in October, and then I'll gear up for the new season starting in January. So it's a nice break, but it'll be nice to kind of really put some work in out of tournament mode and kind of prepare for the next season.
I was in Las Vegas driving around. I had to leave the telecast on television, and I'm at a stoplight, and I'm going crazy. My wife and I are bananas listening to it on PGA Tour radio, and people are looking around, what's going on with these people? So I knew it was a big deal for me, but when I hear Jim Nantz talking about it on the weekend, on his weekend reflections, looking back on the year, the last couple of telecasts of the year during the playoffs, I'm like, wow, like they keep bringing it up. It's a big deal all over golf.
Yeah, I think that's certain things that have definitely, stopped me in my tracks. Where Jim Nantz, who's had legendary calls for years in multiple sports, to say how much, how that moment for him was that special is it takes me back. I think I'm trying to grasp maybe the magnitude of, I've had people, golfers, players come up and just tell me how much it meant to them as a Canadian. And I think even that I'm still trying to kind of grasp how much it means to everybody. Obviously there's a lot of people watching. I think having a long playoff, people are able to get to the TVs and see the moment. But yeah, it's a very, very cool feeling when people tell you how much it means to them, where I was just trying to win a golf tournament, but it's pretty fun that everyone else felt that impacted.
Oh, are you kidding me? I mean, this was. I mean, I know you know it was a big deal. It was almost as big a deal as your buddy Hadwin getting tackled. But how many times have you played that video for him?
So my two questions constantly are the putt and then Adam getting tackled, and it is just a circle that goes around, and it's pretty funny. Once everyone knew Adam was okay, that's when we could all laugh. But it was a nice tackle for sure.
Well, it's like going through airport security. At least you know you're safe out there, right?
Exactly. They're on the ball. They're on the ball.
So I want to talk to you about Ledgeview. You were born in Winnipeg, but you're a kid from the Lower Mainland. You know,
Yep.
you're an Abbotsford boy. And then when you look at it, and you played your golf as a kid at Ledgeview, so did Hadwin play his golf at Ledgeview. And then if you do a little bit of digging, one of the best Canadian golfers in the 70s and 80s was Ray Stewart.
Oh yeah.
And Ray Stewart was from Ledgeview. I mean, if I would have told you that, you know, one golf course, you know, 60, 70 miles from Vancouver would have had the impact on Canadian golf that the three of you had and that the course had, I think people would be amazed by that.
Yeah, and you're also missing there James Lepp, who was
Right.
just before me. He's 5-6 years older than I am. He won the NCAA's, you know, one of the best juniors and amateurs Canada's ever seen. So he grew up at Ledgeview as well. So it's amazing what a little golf course like that can do. And you know, there's plenty of juniors as well that I'm not mentioning, but it's just a golf course where there's a very little driving range. It's more of a warm-up range, very small putting green, but the course develops a lot of skills from that kind of age group of 10 to 18, where you got to learn how to chip and putt really well. You got to hit it straight. You got to be able to hit your irons kind of both directions, shape it, hit recovery shots from the trees. It kind of, you're a very well-rounded player, I feel like, when you leave there, and it's transferable to wherever you play.
Do you remember the first year? Do you remember what your membership was? The first year you had to pay for a membership?
I remember I joined the end. So my brother's 3 years older. He got into it, and we were as a waiting list. And I got in maybe after like the very end of summer before school started. It was like $220, maybe. And it's still, you know, to their credit, I think it might be a little bit more than that now, but they've kept it low. So it's a great membership. I feel, you know, junior golf in general goes in its flows of participation. I think since COVID, it's going a lot like golf in general has, but no, it's a great little place for kids to grow up. And honestly, when we grew up, it was like chipping contest, putting contest, and we played. There was no like grinding on the range, doing drills. It was just like play, and you really get that competitive mode going. And it's just, like I said, it's very transferable to tournament golf and playing other places where obviously a lot of people have had success playing out of there.
Is your name on the club championship trophy?
Actually, so I never won the junior club championship. I think I finished second like 5 times, maybe 4 times. Yeah, pretty funny. And then there's a Ledgeview Open that I'd won as the amateur side, but tied with a pro, and there wasn't a playoff. So that was maybe right after right after high school. But yeah, never was able to grab that junior club championship. Pretty funny.
That's a legendary story right there to summarize how great of a golf club that is.
Yeah.
Shout out who the guy who beat you. Come on.
Oh, a good buddy of mine, Luke Bogdan, won one year. He might have won more than once. I forget, honestly, everyone that had won it, but those are for sure probably the last couple. Exactly. Still chapped a little bit.
Hey, when did you know in all this journey, you know, because it's a pretty good journey, you know, Ledgeview, you go play for the Huskies at University of Washington. When did you know in your time as a kid, I'm going to be a pro golfer?
I think when I probably had confidence that I could do it, or that I wanted to pursue that.
No, but when you walked into the kitchen and you told your parents, Mom and Dad, I'm going to be a pro golfer.
I don't know if I ever had that walk-in moment. It was probably after my second year at college, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, like it was, I think the whole mode in high school was try to get a golf scholarship in the US. That was a big driving factor. That was kind of the next step to, get an education, but also like play at a very high level for golf. And another kind of pipeline that had produced was University of Washington. James Lepp transferred there from Illinois. Darren Wallace went there, who won the Canadian Amateur at 15. He's from Langley. Darren and I had the same coach growing up, and so that was kind of the avenue that I went down. They had great facilities. Really loved the coach. I wanted, the comfortable aspect of Darren being there was great. So chose there. Actually, by the end of my career at UW, there was 4 Canadians out of the 6 on our starting lineup, which was pretty incredible. But after my second year, I had some success in the regionals and nationals, finished second, then qualified for the US Open. And I think that kind of run gave me some confidence that, okay, I'm getting to a level where I feel like I compete with everyone at my current level, but also, playing in the pro event, seeing what needs to be maybe improved upon. But that was kind of the itch that I got that, all right, I want to do this. So I had a couple years left of college golf there, and then, gave it a shot.